Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Scene Snobs Podcast. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate you. We love you. We think you're amazing. And we have a great show planned for you tonight. My guest co-host tonight is going to be Jordan Miller. You know him. He is from Camp Nightmare Podcast. If you don't listen to it, you should be definitely listening to it. But he's also a filmmaker. And he has a new movie called The Only Ones coming out. So we're going to bring Jordan on. We're going to talk to him a little bit about The Only Ones, his filmmaking style, things like that. And then we're going to bring in more from the cast. We have a great lineup for you tonight. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about The Only Ones. We're going to have a really fun time. Before we get started, I want to ask respectfully and humbly, if you would please like and subscribe, maybe follow wherever you're listening to, or if you're watching this, we truly appreciate you. Thank you. And hit that bell because you're going to want to know when more shows like this and other great shows are coming out as well. And if you're listening to the podcast, a rate and review would really go a long way. We truly appreciate you. This episode is brought to you by Entertainment Earth. Here's a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Jordan Miller. What's up, movie snobs? Are you ready to take your love of pop culture to the next level? Look no further than Entertainment Earth, your one-stop destination for all things entertainment. From rare collectibles to the latest must-have items, they've got it all. Whether you are a fan of superheroes or a sci-fi lover or a classic movie enthusiast, Entertainment Earth has the perfect treasure waiting for you. But it gets better. By clicking the affiliate link down in the description below, you'll get an exclusive discount just for you being our amazing viewer. And we thank you guys. Get 10% off if you click on the link below. And if you spend $79 or more, you get another 10% off and free shipping. Check it out. Take advantage of this because it is truly awesome. That's right, guys. And like the man said, the link is down below. So go check it out. But you know who else's links are there? Jordan's links are there. Go check it out. But follow him. Check out his show. Check out his movie that's coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. But welcome to the show, Jordan Miller. How you doing, man?
Hey, good, man. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight, man. I'm really excited to talk to you about your movie, about your podcast, and so much more. And the cast joining us. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Cool.
Absolutely, man. So, Jordan, for everybody who may not be familiar with you, which again, what's wrong with you? But I love you guys. But no, seriously, Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself as a podcaster and a filmmaker, and how you kind of got into it.
Yeah, I've been, I guess, working professionally in like the film industry for about 10 years. I'm a cinematographer and a sound department guy, and I'm a lot of times I'm a post-production guy, so I'm editing, and I even do like sound design, music. So I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife movie guy. I live in the indie world. I love independent film. I'd also do commercial work and stuff because that pays a little bit better than indie work. But, you know, I love what I do when I work in independent cinema. That stuff has been like something that's been a passion of mine since like I was a kid. I've just loved movies, and before I knew I really wanted to make movies, I was sort of making them anyway. I would just like grab cameras and I would make escape videos or like stupid horror movies with my friends in the woods or whatever. And you know, there was no like we didn't have computers like when I was a super little kid, you know, so I would just like plug VCRs like into each other and like be editing cross tape, and it was crazy. But yeah, that's how I like fell in love with movies, was like watching horror movies as a kid, seeing like crazy effects in movies as a kid. And yeah, as I grew up and I like was going to school and I took my first film class and saw that people like thought critically about film and like were deconstructing these things that I was only like theorizing about in my head, was awesome. So then it was just, that's it from there. I've been working in movies and trying to make my own movies since then. I made a feature in 2017 called The Red Effect that I believe is still up on Tubi and on YouTube. And I did a short horror film called 3 that in 2018 did a bunch of festivals, won some cool stuff, and it's now on Crypt TV. That's like a YouTube channel. It's really cool. And since then, I made a couple shorts for an anthology that's not out yet. And while we're waiting on that, The Only Ones has been like the baby that I've been working on the past about a year now. It was like last August that we started production. So as we're like very close to the end here, it's like a year and a month so far.
So for you, getting into it, and you're very technical too. I've seen your cinematography, and you got a great eye. I love looking at your pictures. I can't wait to see the movie. For you, you seem to have a very technical background in filmmaking, which I love. You know, that idea of it and shining light on that more.
Yeah, certainly.
Stepping in as a director and writing, and you're not new to it. You've done it for a bit, but like compared to like the work you do on the more technical side. What do you love? Not what do you love more? I mean, of course, directing and writing, that's such a huge passion. It's this big undertaking, but like more along the lines of like where's your like real joy at? Like, is it directing somebody? Is it writing the screenplay, or is it like finding that shot? It can be all of those, but like those ones that really bring you the joy,
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of all of those, because like all of those moments are like moments of immense joy. Like as you construct the story in the writing room, my room by myself, that's an immense joy, because it's just you're finding it for the first time, and like it's exciting for that reason. Directing it, even though it's extremely enjoyable, it's probably the most stressful part of it, because that's like the moment in the day when like all the things are coming together and all the things that will go wrong, like that is the time that they're going wrong. Yeah. So directing is definitely like a joy, but also like probably the most abject, stressful part of it. But when you accomplish it, that's just like the best part. Like when you plan something that's challenging, and it's challenging, and you plan as much as you possibly can, and then you get it done with everybody on the day, that's an immense joy too.
Oh, absolutely.
And I found just as much pleasure being a cinematographer on my own too, because recently I've had the opportunity to shoot on a couple films, most notably a Western called Was Once a Hero that we just wrapped on, where I'm strictly on set as a cinematographer. I'm not directing. And that's something I really, really enjoy too, because on the only ones I kept the budget very low by doing as many jobs as I could before losing my mind. So I was directing and shooting that movie. So I had a camera on my back the whole time while I'm like directing and going through stuff with actors. So there's a lot happening, and sometimes you don't have as much time when you're in that kind of scenario to like sit back and just like really look at the shot for 5 minutes and like just think about it, and like think about the composition while the director's off talking to actors, or whatever, and just thinking about the lighting and thinking about what you could improve. Because when you have it on your back and you're directing and it's go, sometimes you could spend more time if you had larger departments. So when I have the opportunity to just shoot, I think it's pretty amazing too.
Yeah, it's a fantastic answer. Thank you. And to expand on that just a little bit more, a lot of people who tend to watch the show, we get into the more technical side, like I said, and a big thing that I really push for when talking is like, if you're getting started in filmmaking, you should learn the positions, like really do them. Start as a PA, work your way through all the positions, see what it is all about, because no matter where you go in the trajectory of going up, you're going to have to deal with all these positions. So I always felt like it's best to know them. For you, what's some things for new filmmakers coming in terms of like the technical side and learning those positions? What was some advice you'd give them, like especially navigating the indie world?
I would say pay attention to lighting and sound, because those are the things that on the indie level often get overlooked more. So that, and those are things that make or break movies and scenes is lighting and sound. And I think a lot of people are mystified by sound in a lot of ways, and it's something you don't think about, but like the moment there's bad sound in a movie, everybody hears it. So I think that's something to think more critically about as you watch movies. And the best thing anybody could do who wants to get better at making movies is just watch as many as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And appreciate you sharing that answer with them and myself as well. So before we bring everybody on, and like I want to just cover a couple more things with the only ones, like going into this one.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a really big undertaking, especially, coming into the year. It's after COVID. The ones that you've made before were pre-COVID. What were some of the struggles that you had making this movie and, this magnitude?
That was definitely a big thing. We were just coming out of that. And I mean, we were still in it. I mean, we were definitely in a lot of ways, I don't know when we stopped being in it. Are we still in it? I don't know what's going on, but, and then at that point we were still in the deep end. So, there was still like the guillotine of COVID kind of hangs over every film production at that point, because the moment somebody gets it, everybody's on hold for 2 weeks minimum, hoping nobody else gets in that time. And we were very fortunate that we only had that happen, that we did have it happen, but only one time. And, we had to just sit back and do what we could. But if the lead person gets COVID, you kind of are limited on options.
Yeah, that's
so. That's just the challenge, because you don't know. Like at any point, the cell phone could ring and be like, "Yeah, I've tested positive. Hit the brakes."
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it's good. It's great to hear that too. And I'm glad you shared that, because that's things, again, like you were saying, with lights and sound, there's so many aspects to filmmaking that I don't think people really think of.
Yeah.
And there have been times like where I know when I've been on set and it's my set and I have actors barking at me, and I don't blame them at all in any way, shape, or form about small inconveniences that should not have been overlooked. And
Right.
it's so they slip through the cracks so easily. So
Oh,
for
yeah.
you and with
Food
this
is the
movie,
most important thing. It's like
yes.
people. If you're not feeding people, you're doing it wrong. First of
Oh,
all, that's like rule something early on. 1, maybe 2. Feed people.
no, that's perfect example of it. Food, like, Chris here says he agrees about lights and sound. I mean, lighting and sound, of course, that's
Chris is a sound guy. He gets it.
Yeah. I mean, I the only thing I would say is more important is probably story.
Oh yeah, ultimately, I mean, it begins and ends with the story and the script, right? If it's not a convincing story, and like I've heard Tarantino say this a million times, and I've been able to experience this most recently with the script I'm working on. If you find a story that's just, you're even more excited to just watch this movie than you are to even like make it, that's like the best thing you could possibly ever have, right? Because that's like the ultimate motivating factor. And Tarantino is unapologetically someone who makes his movies for himself and like sits back and watches them 1,000 times,
Oh yeah, and I've never thought, and that philosophy to me, like when people would say like you're making it for the audience. Yeah. You are.
Yeah.
But you're making it for yourself. Like, this is art.
Like, you got to be excited about doing it, because it's always going to be an uphill battle and a challenge. So if you're not if you don't have that like excitement or love to like motivate all that stress and like, all those obstacles, and then it's difficult. Like, one thing I learned going into this movie is like rain. Like, I wrote a storm sequence and rain in a climactic moment in this movie, and of course you can't just do a rain dance and make it happen. So, and you can't actually shoot in the rain because you have electronics and lights and cameras and all that stuff. It doesn't like water, so you have to truck in fake rain and shoot it up with like giant crazy hoses, and like it's a whole production. And like this is all stuff I had to overcome and learn as this whole thing was going through.
Oh, absolutely. And so what are some of your big takeaways from this film going into the next?
Well, every movie I do try to like challenge myself and do something bigger than I did last time. Like this movie, we definitely had some more elaborate kill sequences as far as like practical effects were concerned, and like a little bit of fight sequences. So like that's something I'm pretty inexperienced with, and I've realized as like even a critical viewer of movies, I don't think about the fight sequences maybe as much as I should, and I'm trying to get better about that. But going into this movie and having a fight sequence and working it out with a fight choreographer, I learned a lot about how to write a fight sequence better, thinking about things from like his fight choreography mind and things like that. Mm-hmm. And just the elements, like just always thinking about the elements in which you're like writing scenes. Like I purposely like wrote this movie to be, limited as far as locations and stuff, so we could try to keep budget down and those things. And but I think as I just make movies, I learn how you can write movies better. And I think like you said, it's all about the story and it's all about the script. So making movies, you can learn how to like write your script better for the next one. Like I realized I was writing a little bit prescriptively, maybe in the last movie, where like I was writing in more detail than maybe I needed. And on the next project, and I want to leave more room for actors to fill that gap, with performance, rather than being dictative about like what those things may be, allowing more room. And those are things you find out on set, and that's the things you like feel out with actors. If you're too prescriptive in a script and they feel it's restricting, you break through that on set and find something that's true to them. But like that makes me realize like, oh, I didn't need to write all of that, because we're just going to get there and we're going to feel it out and figure it out anyway. So like, looking at like how John Carpenter says he writes fight sequences, like if They Live, that movie, there's like the Keith David, Roddy Piper fight that lasts like approximately 3.5 minutes in that movie. And John Carpenter says that it's literally 3 pages of almost blank script that says they fight, they keep fighting, they're still fighting, and he just knows we're going to get a choreographer. He's going to make it 3 minutes long, let people do their jobs.
And I think one of my favorite stories to come out of that movie too is the fact that because he was such a huge wrestling fan, he really trusted Roddy Piper, and knowing, Keith David stepping in, like he said, they were in their backyard for like 2 weeks, just like practicing fighting and getting it down. And it worked. Just every aspect of that's the most realistic fight in human history and movies, in my opinion.
Right. And John Carpenter like knew that like this is a moment where I should lift my directorial hand and allow people who do this thing do that thing, you know?
I love it. I love it. And so let's finish up because we do have a couple of your cast members already in the green room, but I want to ask you this about The Only Ones. Yeah. Let's talk about, before they come in, I wanted to hear from you about The Only Ones. What was, like, when you wrote it, what was the inspiration for writing the story and like finally getting it out there while you're editing and getting ready for it? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been a crazy process. Like, I don't even know exactly when initially, but Matt Burns, a mutual friend of ours, and he's a producer and plays a role in The Only Ones. He came to me with like this idea initially of doing a very non-traditional slasher that really didn't conform to the the usual trajectory of slasher films in a major way. And I loved the idea. And I took it kind of a step further and looked at a Coen Brothers movie that I really find interesting called Burn After Reading, which maybe you've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
And this is sort of like almost like my take on Matt's idea with like a Burn After Reading approach to a slasher, where like in Burn After Reading, it's like a spy movie where the stakes are actually pretty low, but the character's belief in the stakes makes them high, and there ends up being a body count, and like if someone had taken 10 steps back, maybe they could have stopped this whole scenario from happening. So I wanted to take that kind of approach to like a slasher movie and sort of tie it in with my brand of like drama with dark humor.
I love that, and that really, I'm glad that you guys were able to come together and make this movie happen. But I love the idea of like doing something a little bit different. So I listened to your podcast. And again, I urge everybody to go check it out. If you're a horror fan, it's a great show. For you, I know horror is a big part of your life.
Oh, yeah.
But while you were getting ready for this, what were there not just horror, but maybe some non-horror that you were watching to really kind of prep?
Well, I mean, Burn After Reading is not really horror. So like that was definitely like the catalyst, even though I wasn't like following the beats of that story. But Mike Flanagan's work is something I really adore. He's a filmmaker actually from Maryland initially, but now he does stuff like Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, one of my favorite things. And his kind of freedom to let characters talk. And like sometimes when characters just want to like open their mouth and like monologue it out, and they have stuff to get off their chest, he lets them do it. And, you learn in filmmaking to show, don't tell. But then we see things like Mindhunter or Midnight Mass and Hill House just tell you things and like in beautiful ways. And so I kind of wanted to embrace that in some aspects with this script as well.
That's awesome, man. I love that. That's a great answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
We do have two of your wonderful cast members here, and we're going to bring them in. We have Emily Klassen here, and we have Christopher Inlow. Welcome. I'm going to get
Hey! Hello, everybody.
Great to see you, Christopher. How you doing?
I'm all right. How is everybody?
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Good to see y'all. Thanks for letting us be on. Good to see you too, Chris.
Right, Emily. I haven't seen your mouth actually move since the set. It's just pictures of you and everything. Thank goodness for social media. But
thank goodness.
It's nice to see you. And thank you for allowing us to come on to the Scene Snobs Podcast. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys coming on and talk about the movie. So now you two are part of The Only Ones. Let's start with Jordan right off the bat. What was it like to be directed by Jordan? And what do you think about the film? Tell us a little bit. Don't tell us too much, though.
Yeah, that's the hard thing always with horror when you're promoting horror. Like, don't say too much, though. So I will say that I had actually worked with Jordan as a director of photography only in like 2 previous films, but not as a writer and director. But I knew that he's someone that I was like, I like you. I get your head. I think we really get each other often on even some films where like, that wasn't the case with everybody, but I always kind of vibed with Jordan. So it's like, I'm on board for whatever you got for me. And I will say that one of my favorite things working with Jordan is the cohesiveness of his entire vision. When he's giving a directing note, it's like, I do my homework. character development, and he respects that, but takes it back into the story that we're trying to tell, and makes it very, clear to us as actors, like, great. And also, though, can you take it to a place where we are getting to where we need to at the end of the scene to tell the story that we're trying to tell? And I, without even saying it as explicitly as that, he doesn't even say it as heady as that. That's kind of my own words, but he gives notes in such a way that are really not pretentious and not like, here's a line reading, but bring you back down to earth after all the character work that you've done. So I really like that about him.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for sharing that.
That's
how about
so sweet,
Christopher?
Emily.
How about you, sir? How was it an experience for you on the only ones?
Working with Jordan. Jordan, I have never worked with Jordan before. I had heard of Jordan just, through the scene, and I knew that he was working on a lot of different projects. He seemed to bounce around and be everybody's camera guy, which was cool, because when that's happening, you're going into something with somebody that has experience. So, and that's always nice. When the story was pitched to me, I read it, and it was like, there was a lot of, oh, what the fuck? When I read it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, no! You know what I mean? It was a fun script to read. So I had a blast doing that. And they told me the character, and I'm a little older, I think, than a lot of people in the cast. So it makes sense that I would be playing this particular role. And it allowed me to bounce around through a lot of different emotions. It was a well-written indie script, which is something that you don't run across a whole lot. And of course, they had pitched to me that Nancy Ann Ritter was going to be playing my wife in it, which was also awesome. And I had no idea that Nancy Ann lived so close to me. So it gave me a good opportunity to, well, I'll talk about that later. But Jordan, he knows what he wants. He's got it in his head what's going to be on the screen. So that's something that I'm not used to. I'm used to actually setting up a lot of the blocking myself. Mm-hmm. So when I had come on to do the film, when we first started doing some of these really big shots that have Nancy Ann and I, where we're working together, I had already set up the entire shot. So I'm like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. And Jordan's like, oh, man, that sounds great. But do this instead.
Yeah, I trashed all that block. I felt bad about that because you guys had clearly put in a lot of work.
No, but it was.
Don't worry about that.
I mean, it was like the direction completely changed in the way that we had imagined shooting it, and but it made a lot of sense what you were doing. Of course, what the rest of the film looks like, and all I know is what I'm seeing as I'm shooting with you. So it was nice to work with somebody that had everything visualized in his head and know what he was doing. So it wasn't like, damn it, now we can't do this because it's not the way that we had planned it. It was we just switched a couple of things up and did it Jordan's way, and it was awesome. So, I'm gonna beg him to cast me again later on.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Christopher is one of the hardest working dudes around. I feel like I booked him, and then 2 weeks later, he was like, "Yeah, I've read the script approximately 400 times, and I'm off book already."
Well, I do have some insane ways that I start talking about how long I've been acting, and this is something that I know about Emily as well, and some of the other cast members. We come from a theater background, so reading the shit out of a script is what you do.
Yes,
you need to know your lines, but by the time these people go on to a stage and perform, they know everybody's lines. They know what everybody's doing. They you know what I mean? It's a lot different in that aspect, and that's the way that I came up performing. I was on stage performing when I was 4 years old, and I switched over to being in front of a camera around 2008, 2009. So yeah, by the time I want to read the script. My goal is to read the script 1,175 times before I set foot on that stage. Those lines have come out of my mouth that much. And I had wonderful conversations with Emily about theater. I think when I found out that she was in theater, I like ran up and hugged her or something. I was just like, oh my
You did, yeah, I remember that. And then we were like, yeah, tea for tight after that. I think absolutely it is our job to do our homework with the script. And it is also our job to be able to give up things that we've decided, you know, are true when Jordan says, all right, let's take this to a certain place. You know, like, that's why, like, Jordan, do not be sorry for having your vision. You know, like, it's our job to do that script analysis. And it's your job to have a vision and a, you know, story that you want to tell. And then we have to be able to kill the things that we've come up with, but not kill them, but just adapt them. And I think that theater people are actually really good at that because we're note takers, because we spend weeks and weeks in rehearsal. So we can kind of, theater people on sets, I think, are underestimated a little.
I agree, and I think like there's a give and take there too, because I can't, you know, I tried to not take the script too preciously. So like if there's a word, you know, there's plenty of times on this set where like there was something on the page that would come out of an actor's mouth and it just didn't feel right, whatever, and we would tweak it. Like,
you were
right
always
there.
great about that, yeah.
And then you just go and like you'd find a way that to them felt better. And there was actually a moment where Zach, I hope he joins us in a little bit, that I had rewritten something, and we were going into a scene much later than we expected to shoot it because of some setback, and we were like, and I actually rewrote some lines for his character, and he came back to me and he was like, "Can we go back?" And he gave me some really good reasons, and we were like, "Oh, well, actually, yeah, let's go back." And so he kind of talked me out of a rewrite as we talked through the scenes, because I was doubting something that shouldn't be doubted, and it was great to have him there to like talk through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually have another cast member joining us. Nancy Ann Ritter is here.
Nancy,
welcome, go, Nancy.
Thank you. In the darkness.
Okay.
She's that big.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I sound like I have the boop on.
Oh, you're in the dark. Okay.
Normally I do this on my laptop and I'm on my iPhone, so let me see if I can make me brighter. Okay, you all carry on. Don't let me disturb. I'm gonna get a light.
I'll take you off and let you do that, but I'll bring you back on as soon as I see the light come on. Sound good?
Okay, if I stay dark, I'll just watch you guys. Okay.
Sounds good.
I'll just lurk in the shadows.
Just draw a picture of your face and just like
there you go
in the spot where we can see the picture.
We'll fix it in post. It's fine.
Nancy Ann is she's another one that came up doing theater. So that was I mean, there was actually like a lot of theater people that were involved in this production. That was very exciting to there she is.
There you are, baby girl.
There she is.
Oh God, I don't even have my glasses on. I don't even know where we need.
You look terrific.
You look great. Nancy Ann.
I'm sure.
And speaking of theater people, Tatiana, also theater person.
I knew her from theater, and when Jordan said, we're still missing our lead, and this is kind of what I'm looking for in our lead, and I was like, no, I got someone for you. That's what I knew her from theater, and I was like, you have this girl audition, because I'll also have good chemistry with her, because we had to be very intimate on camera. So obviously she nailed her audition.
She was great.
She also comes from theater. Yeah. She
was one of the few people I didn't know. Like there was a lot of the cast were like people I had worked with in some capacity or another in different films, and I just thought they were great. And then there were some wild card roles that we had to like cast for, and that was one I needed Emily to have an intense relationship with, and so I wanted to see if there was somebody that she had chemistry with and had maybe done something like this before, and we could sort of capitalize on that in some way, and it worked out so well. And Zach just joined us too.
Welcome to the show, Zach. Thank you for joining in.
How you doing? Sorry I'm late.
No. Please, it's perfectly fine. Thank you again so much for joining in. And we're talking, of course, about The Only Ones, and we're having a really good time with it. We have the cast here. We have the writer and director here, among many other things. This man has worn a lot of hats on set. Actually, because we were talking about acting and how you guys have a theater background. Jordan, I'd like to put the next question to you. Stepping in, and now you've said how it's been an experience working and learning about that from each cast member, but writing and going forward into next projects and things like that. Now, do you have a mentality of writing for certain people, or are you opening it up to like, okay, well, everybody, like when we get the casting, I'll figure out who's who where? How have you been handling that as you've been writing the next project?
Yeah. I'm usually terrible about, like, I should probably write for specific people more than I do. And And I've actually, this is something I've learned about myself when I write scripts, is I don't really think about some of that stuff, and I write challenges for myself that then if I had thought about those things ahead of time and I had like just written about, oh, I know I have access to this thing should be included, maybe life would be a little easier. But I kind of find myself just writing what the story takes me, and sometimes it's a bit challenging. But like with this movie, I kind of started to figure out who I liked for certain roles along the way. Like Zach plays a character named Zach, and that is like an utter coincidence. Like the character
Really?
already had that name, and then like we were working together, and you had taken up a role that you originally weren't supposed to take in a different project we were on, and I was able to see him perform with Emily, and I was just like, God, these two are great. So, and I knew that Zach could get to this place that I needed fictional Zach to get to. So it was all kind of working out very well.
Nice. I love that. So when you were preparing for the role, you had the scripts in hand. Zach, I want to start with you, and I want to go to Nancy because you guys came in a little bit later. I want to hear from you. Nancy Ann, my apologies. So Zach, stepping into the Only Ones, and you get the script, and you're playing Zach. What is this like for you? Stepping into this horror film and getting to know this crew. Like, I have a lot of new filmmakers tend to watch, and I want to see, want to give them the idea of like stepping into this role. What was it like for you? Like, How did you prepare and such?
Well, like Jordan kind of mentioned already, we had met on a previous project, project that I guess shan't be named. But on that project, I was playing a character that was like always at an 11 pretty much the entire time. So when Jordan gave me the script for this, I was like, oh, cool. So this character is at an 11 like a couple times. So other than that, I can just kind of be myself for more or less, because the character is kind of nerdy, just kind of like the sarcastic one out of the group. And I'm kind of like that anyway. So it did kind of feel like it was written for me in some ways, but again, it just kind of all worked out like that. And then when the scenes came where I had to go to 11, I mean, I was used to that. So
yeah, after watching him for like however many days we were shooting on the other project, just constantly at this level, like maintaining that insanity, like it was just like, okay, because that's the tough stuff when you like write a script like this. Like when you get to a point and they need to like be at that 11, not everybody can like get there, or it requires a lot of coaching, and like I just knew Zach could like he could maintain that. So it was and like there's a big chunk of me in every character of this movie for sure, but I would say from like a 10-foot view, like most easily recognizable would be the Zach character for my like kind of me to poke fun at myself in a little way, because he's a podcaster. He's like into, conspiracies and monsters and whatever. He's, and he's, like you said, he's nerdy. He's a little sarcastic. So I think there's a big chunk of, I saw Zach could do that, and I know Zach and I got along. So there's times like as you're writing the script that you're like finding out things about actors who could play it, and then they sort of start to, it morphs, I think, a little bit, because there was definitely a lot of revisions to this script as it went.
Oh, that's a great answer. I appreciate you guys sharing that with me. And Nancy Ann, I want to throw this to you. I mean, you are seasoned, you're a veteran in the industry, and you're coming in, and you're no stranger to horror movies, of course. So you step into this role. What's it like preparing for you? What are you working with Jordan on? Like, what did you see for your character stepping into this beforehand? Might have froze a little bit. Nancy Ann, can you hear me?
This one, because I really feel like I threw Nancy Ann like into the ringer with her role.
For sure, but maybe you can elaborate some, Jordan, on it until we can get Nancy Ann back on. Can
you hear us, Nancy Ann? All right. Well, I want her to answer for herself, because I'm genuinely interested. But I gave her that like fight sequence I discussed earlier, where I was learning a lot. Nancy is a key part of that.
Very
and
cool.
I don't think that's something she's done too often in film. So like I knew I kind of threw her into it, but man, she stepped up big time, and she wasn't afraid to like throw herself physically, into like these scenes and some of these like stunts we had planned, like to the point where I was like, no, we'll do this safely. We have safety plans. And she's like, nah, just let me just get in there. So Nancy Ann, once you get her going, she can't stop, and that's what I love about Nancy Ann.
That is really awesome.
That
so,
and she has like an insanely dark sense of humor, and it comes out of nowhere because she's like super sweet and cute, and then like out of nowhere she like drops these like crazy dark humor bombs, and it's always great.
That's fantastic. You got to keep morale up, and those little fun things are how you do it for sure.
Oh, for sure.
So actually, let's get into that. So what with behind the scenes, what was the morale like filming this movie? What'd you guys do to like have fun and like kind of let loose some steam in between?
That's a them question, because I can't, as the director, I can't tell you what morale was like on set. You know, that
it was great.
I also think so. There was no like person ever on set that we were like, you're bringing us down. Like never. And I think that you did a good job that one of the last scenes that we filmed with everyone together was one where at the beginning of the film, we were just all being together as friends before all the shit hit the fan. And I thought that was brilliant. You're like, let's build that chemistry before we have that. And I think we all did a really good job of that because we were all like there and professional and knew our lines. So during our downtime, we were just able to chill. I thought it was just a really nice environment.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, how about you? How'd you feel about it getting into it?
I feel the same way. Like having already worked with Jordan and Emily, and then also seeing some familiar faces. It was awesome. It was just like hanging out with your friends and then like, oh, okay, we're going to roll now. And then getting the scene over with. I wish Deontay was here because
I was just thinking that.
He had
love me some Deontay.
Yeah, our
Every
relationship
class needs a
definitely-
clown.
Yeah, Deontay Jenkins. He was our gaffer for a good portion of the film, and he was my B camera operator. He was right there with me with a camera on his back. And Deontay and I have made movies together for years. He was assistant director on like the first thing I ever did, and I've been on. He directs his own movies too. He's great, and he's a great morale boost on set. So yeah, he's good. Good people.
Well, Christopher, for you coming into this and being, you said you've been acting since you're 4. Like what's some things you maybe gave advice on or saw when you were there that was just kind of stood out?
I could tell that everybody had a lot of experience. So, and I'm not really the kind of guy that starts busting in, kicking down doors like this is the way that it should be. I'm kind of to myself on that.
In the 70s, we did it all nude. Yeah,
but everybody was chill. I didn't know any of the actors, I don't think, when I came into this, which is odd. You know what I mean? I've done films and stuff all over the place, so it's rare when I don't know any. Well, with the exception of Matt Burns. Matt Burns is more than an actor. He's like the glue that holds the independent world together.
Yeah.
But so everybody knows Matt Burns. And he did a great job in this and like everything that I worked with him on. So I'm really surprised that he's not out there doing like a whole lot of other acting. But in the downtime, everybody was just chill. Everybody was cool. Like Emily had said, everybody knew their lines. Everybody knew what they were doing. We all came together. It was a really good package of people that actually gave a shit and wanted to put on a good show. And and we all had total trust in Jordan that we were going to have a good show. So it's like, we know this is going to get seen. We know that it's going to look good. We know that we have a good script. So everybody did their best, I think, to make sure that we all brought our A game to make sure that we were as good as everything else that was being presented. So in our downtime, it was really just, hanging out and in small talk, getting to know each other without completely without leaving the character, because on your breaks, you don't want to go back out there and be like, oh, well, shit, I shouldn't have, been goofing off so much because now I've lost the character. But everybody was able to jump right back in, even with the small talk and hanging out that went on. It was overall, all in all, a really great experience.
Nice.
And Nancy Ann, are you able to speak to us now?
I'm gonna take that as a no.
I'm gonna.
But yeah, I definitely love how it was very relaxed. It felt like we were all just like hanging out in between takes, and the morale felt very high. And what there was nothing about like Christopher has like his character he plays a guy named James, has like conflict with the other characters in a big way. But there wasn't that aspect of like, oh, we keep him away from the other actors to like maintain this thing. Like everybody really is just so professional with and so good at what they're doing with their performances that they can just, it's amazing how they can turn it on and off like
Which
that.
shows respect for the other people on set. When
Yeah.
you know your lines, you are showing the other actors, I respect you and your time, which just makes everyone feel at ease, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we are actually coming up on sign off. So what I want to do is I want to go through one by one with you guys, and I'm going to bring you off as we, after you answer. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you got going on right now? Christopher, why don't we start with you?
Oh my gosh. My name is Christopher Enlow. Hello there. And I've been acting my entire life. I don't remember any portion of my life where I wasn't performing. So I've done 100 billion characters. I've got The Only Ones that's going to be coming out. I've got a movie that I did with, under the direction of Jamie Nash and Eduardo Sanchez, who is the executive producer, called The Last Night at Terrace Lanes, that I have a role in, that Jordan is on.
I'm sound department on that movie.
Jordan actually, I know I'm busting into this, but Jordan actually has a movie in theaters right now.
Oh yeah, I was sound department on that too.
That he worked on.
I love it.
But
I was very low on that totem pole, but that was a really fun. That was a really fun movie to work on.
Hey, you're in there. You did it. You deserve the credit.
Man, I know there's going to be like directors or producers watching this. Like, he didn't say the name of the movie that we've got coming out. I have a ton of stuff that is coming out before. Oh, there's a short film called This Is Not What I Call Aging Gracefully that is coming out, where I actually I like pass through this like time warp, and for every step I take, I age a year. So like 3.5 hours in makeup every single day that I went on set. So I mean, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, Christopher Enlow, not Chris. My name is not Chris, my name is Christopher Enlow. You can find me on any social media thing, and I mean, look it up. I do my homework, I do the best that I can do, and I will be returning back to the B&O Museum throughout December for the Warner Brothers 60 live show production of the Polar Express, where I will be playing the Ghost Hobo.
Nice.
So if you get the chance, come out and check it out. And it's live and it's a lot of fun. So thank you to everybody that was on the set in The Only Ones. I haven't really had the chance to speak to anybody since then, except for Nancy Ann. But you guys were fantastic. I loved working with you all. And Mick, this is the first time I think you and I have actually like visually seen each other. I know that we've exchanged messages in the past. I don't even know if you know that we've exchanged messages.
No, I know. We've actually met like 3 times in person.
Oh well, shit. Sorry about that.
I've been to a few of the premieres of movies you've been in.
We'll cut this out.
But on that note, thank you, Christopher Enlow. We really appreciate you being on.
Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Please don't worry about it.
I study my lines 1,175 times. I forget everything else.
Christopher, it's all right, man. I'm 6'8". I'm gigantic. It's hard to remember me. Messing with you, of course. Man. Look, I really appreciate you being on tonight and talking about.
Send me a shirt with your face on it, please.
Don't tempt me. I'll do that.
I'll wear it.
But thank you so much, Christopher. I really appreciate it. Go check out Christopher Enlow's work. Make sure to check him out in The Only Ones. And I just want to say thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
I love you all.
Take care,
Love you, Christopher.
Zach, it's your turn, my friend. What do you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you got going on, and we'll go from there.
Man, I'm in a weird spot. I'm back in school. So I'm getting my master's in applied psychology. So I'm trying to make time for side projects and acting and creative things as best as I can. But I know that, in like a couple months, things are going to get pretty intense. But aside from that, my short film, Jesse, just premiered at a festival at North Beach. along with one of a film that Jordan worked on as well.
That's why you were at North Beach, because
yeah,
you saw it and I'm like, oh, so random. You're there. That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was cool to see. Like, I saw a bunch of familiar faces, which was cool. But so that's going to be making its rounds, and at a certain point, I'm going to put it out. And then I just worked on a project called The American Miracle, about the American Revolution, and that'll be coming out in 2025. So if anybody remembers this, check that out in a couple of years.
Because it's the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War in 2025.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ken Burns has like a big Revolutionary War doc dropping.
I was hoping that Ken Burns was going to do something like that.
He is. I actually know a bunch of like reenactor guys who are all like helping them shoot their stuff right now. It's pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure some of them worked on this because one of the historians, I forget his name, but he worked with the guys on Turn, and I mean, all these guys, the entire set, it was just like people dropping the most interesting facts about the revolution and then like arguing with each other and then being like, oh, no, you're right, that's what happened. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I was just working with like Civil War reenactors and just like hearing them talk about all these like amazing things that you would never even think about, and they all like make their own stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah, like I learned George Washington's favorite ice cream was oyster ice cream.
That sounds made up. Who's making this stuff up?
The guy that played George Washington, that's
an un-American flavor.
At fucking what's it called?
Goddamn Putin with his oyster ice cream.
So, and then last but not least, I'm finishing up post-production on this feature film called Starstruck that my buddy Kenny Brossois has been working on for the past 4 years. We're finally hitting picture lock, and I think honestly next week we will have picture lock. So So my Instagram is zruchkin. That's ZRUCHKIN. Once Starstruck is all said and done, I will be posting stuff on that so people can find information and check it out.
Look forward to checking it out, man. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking about The Only Ones, talking about what's going on with you, and really appreciate it. Can't wait to see big things come from you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, Zach. Thank you again.
Thank you.
See you, Zach.
Love you, Zach.
You are in the chair, Emily.
Oh,
your
shit.
turn.
Well, goddamn, Zach had a lot of upcoming stuff. There's one feature that I wish I could fully plug. I can, but I am not allowed to say the name of it yet because of restrictions from the larger production company. But I will say that I'm going to have a feature that is hopefully going to be coming out this year. I actually had to do some VO for it today. Like rushed home to do this.
Is this the thing that I know about? Is this the thing you told me about?
The one by Chris and Melissa LaMartina.
Yeah.
Who, if you know them,
Cool.
They've done a lot of horror. They've done a lot of camp horror. They did the WNUF
Chris has one of my favorite.
special.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, and then they did Out There, which I was in. And if you know, like Chris, like from way back, like Call Girl Cthulhu, which is Melissa was in, which is how they met, and now they're married. So really cute little hardcore love story for them. But Zach says Chris is the shit. It's true. How have we not talked about the La Martina, Zach? Okay, anyway. So I am in their upcoming feature that I can't say the name of yet, but by them and Cinematic Productions. So I star in that. It's a comedy horror mockumentary. It's going to be damn funny. So follow me on Instagram once I'm finally able to say the name of that. I'm hoping that the mystery will cause intrigue for anyone that hears this. My Insta is Emily_Klassen. My website is emilyklassen.com. Pretty straightforward. It's just my name. And that is kind of my big upcoming thing besides The Only Ones. But listen, awesome. I got 2 amazing features coming up. And even as an indie worker, with an agent that sends me SAG projects, I haven't gotten any auditions in a long time because of that. So I feel very, very fortunate. So that's probably my one thing that's upcoming. But if you want to look at my past, I have a film on Amazon Prime called The Forgiving that won the Maryland International Film Festival 2021 Best Feature. I also started in, this is probably what I should have started with. How I started was also in theater, as you heard, like since I was 11 years old. I'm from New Orleans, moved to Baltimore, did theater for a long time, have my degree in theater. And I just started doing film like in 2018. I fell in love with it, and I feel I am incredibly fortunate to have worked with some amazing people like Jordan, who I hope I get to work with for a very, very long time.
Likewise.
So thank you so much. And thank you, Mick, for having me on today.
Thank you. And I can't wait to hear everything that's coming out. And, Chris LaMartina, I like him a lot. I like his stuff. So I can't wait to see what you got going on.
Oh, Mick, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to be so funny. Yeah.
I'm so excited to check it out and see what's what. But thank you again, Emily, for coming on. Really appreciate you so much for doing this.
You got it, babe.
Jordan, my
All
friend,
right.
thank you for so much. I'm going to let you speak because I want to hear what you have to say. I like hearing from smarter people all the time.
I don't know if that's me.
I want to say thank you so much, man, for coming on, bringing your cast on, talking about your movie. This means a lot. I have a lot of respect for you as a filmmaker. I have a lot of respect for you as a podcaster. I think you're an awesome guy. I'm glad we get to meet and connect in this way. Just having you as a guest co-host was amazing. Hopefully you'll do it again. And I can't wait to see The Only Ones, man.
Dude, anytime, man. Likewise, this has been a super fun experience. It's been so nice to be on your show. Your show is awesome. It was really nice how welcome you were to have as many of the cast. It was kind of like a mix. We didn't know who we were going to get, but I think it was really nice who we got to be on the show today. So just thanks for giving us the opportunity to even do this at all, man. This was really great.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to have had a chance to do it. And I'm sorry we couldn't really get Nancy Ann on for a longer period of time. Maybe we can in the future.
She's a treat to having a podcast too. She's a wild card is what she is, actually. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you dodged like a firecracker there. I don't know, but we'll have to have her on the next time. Maybe after the movie comes out, we can do this again and Nancy can get on and be a wild card.
Absolutely. Let's connect with that and then, kind of see where everything goes after the movie comes out. And I'd love to hear more about it and actually have seen it at that point to be able to kind of like be in on some of the inside stuff.
Yeah, maybe you'll even like it too. That'd be great.
I bet you I will. I definitely know from the pictures. I love the cinematography.
Awesome. Well, we're halfway there.
But thank you again, man. I'm going to say goodbye to you tonight and finish with the sign off. But you are awesome. Thank you again so much for doing it.
Likewise, Mick. Thank you.
All right. Take care, my friend. Thank you to Jordan. Thank you to the entire cast of The Only Ones. Emily, Zach, Christopher, Nancy Ann. Thank you guys. So amazing for you guys to come out and talk about the movie like this. It's so awesome to talk about indie film. I love it. It's what keeps the blood boiling, man. Like in that beautiful way. Like I love indie film. We talk about it quite a bit and quite often on the show, as you guys know. So always support it if you can, especially the men, women, and everyone in between going out there and putting themselves out there to make these movies. It's a lot. You guys don't really fully know how much goes into it, from getting the money together to do it, getting the people together to do it. Hell, even just putting a script together is so much work. And that's why we have a lot of support there. And when we get into our next topic, we are going to be covering sort of the WGA strike and what was happening with Drew Barrymore. Now, this is a little bit, this has sort of been resolved, but I have been asked by quite a few people to comment on this. That's why I made that a Let Me Explain this week. And because, as you guys know, I haven't been reviewing movies, mostly independent stuff, but like I haven't been reviewing anything that's stricken. I have a lot of friends in SAG and the WGA, and this is just more out of respect for them. There is no real stance in a way of, because I'm not contractually obligated, but I'm also not a reviewer who has to take the step back, if that makes sense. I'm choosing to do this. This is for me. I don't, go against anybody else who is personally reviewing right now or doing any of that. So, but this has just been my view. Now, why do I do that? Because they need the support. Right now, the actors and the writers need the support. That's where it's at. What they're asking for is not unfair. And I've stated this on this show before and other shows. It is not unfair with everything going on and trying to get their residuals worked out so they can have a livable wage. If you're showing a movie or a TV show that somebody has worked in, put their blood, sweat, and tears into, has their face a part of it, and that's what's selling for you, you should be paying these people. Absolutely, for being on screen, and should be paying these people for their words that they've written and given you. for sure. Now, with the Drew Barrymore situation, there's quite a few shows, and I think she got the brunt end of it because she's the biggest star, but like Bill Maher was doing the same thing. All now have decided to not restart their shows. A lot of backlash. I get it. Not putting anything down. I love Drew Barrymore. I'm on record. I think she's fantastic. I love watching her in her movies. I love their show. So like this and hearing a lot of the writers speak about her and say like, you know, it's just more disappointing. It's upsetting that she would be willing to make this, you know, call. It is absolutely. I understand the pressures. This is a situation where I don't know all the ins and outs personally, but I can tell you from, you know, just working on it from a studio angle, it ain't about she came back, and this is speculation on my part. She's coming back to do this. Well, she's not anymore, but she was coming back to do this primarily, I think, to support everyone who works on the show, because you guys got to remember, everyone's out of work right now. When you cancel the stuff, not cancel, that's a bad term, but when you are striking and you are working within compliance of the strikes, but also trying to show solidarity and also have the picket lines shutting down productions, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop the production so that way they can make their money, you know, and get the scabs out of there. It makes sense. I understand that, and I don't stand against it in any way. I support everything they have to do. Like, you know, Stephen Amell, a couple of months, you know, maybe a month or so ago, came out and talked about how he's against striking. He's not against the strike. He's not against the what they're fighting for. He just doesn't believe in striking. And a lot of people came out after him. I think it's such a sensitive subject right now that anybody who speaks out in a counter-cultural way with any fight that's happening at the moment, you're going to get pounced on. Why does that happen? I think a lot of people misinterpret the pouncing on these situations as an attack, and it's not really an attack. You know, I'm speaking from the union's point of view, not the millions of people who just shine their opinions on anything on social media. So when you have people and you have, you know, a lot of TikToks and things and other social media reels and things like that coming out, and it's celebrities saying like, really disappointed that he would say this. I'm really disappointed she's putting her show back on, or I'm downright upset and this is messed up and blah, blah, blah. And that's not underselling anything that they're saying. You have to do that. You got to stamp out the counter right now, because if you don't, and the beast that they are fighting, the studio system, is a big beast. It's a powerful beast. It's a beast that is split into many studios that hate each other but are still willing to screw over whoever they can to make the buck. I'll always say that because it's always going to be true. Now, I'm not saying every individual that works for a studio is evil. It's not the case. But there are many evil intentions with a lot of things that have been going down, and it's all based on greed, and it's just a terrible time. So if these unions are not stamping out, like, I didn't disagree with what Stephen Amell said. I get it. He didn't put it the best way. You know, probably used a writer to write it. But he didn't, I don't think he said anything out of line. But you can't have a card-carrying union member out there saying things like this. You can't have a card-carrying union member of SAG, and she is a face of SAG, Drew Barrymore, putting her show back on. I think Bill Maher didn't get enough crap for it because Bill Maher wasn't as big as Drew Barrymore, you know, but I think Bill Maher was going to do it just because he doesn't give a shit. And that's the way he carried himself throughout. Drew Barrymore seemed to have given a shit. I also get how a lot of producers right now who aren't striking, showrunners, producers, things like that, want to get people back on set. They want to get people paid and making money because it's a lot to pay these people out of pocket. It always makes me laugh when you see like a talk show, like all the late night shows, they're out and then they're like, and they're trying to pay for their people. At what point do we have to stop saying you should be paying for your people? It's your show. They're entertainers too. They're people who get paid. Do they not deserve the money that they make? Our greed is really what's killing it with all of this. And this is really what's going to be the biggest problem. And if anything good comes out of this, I hope it's indie film gets more of a backing and gets more support in a lot of ways, not from studios, but I'm starting to hope we see some signs of, celebrities and writers stepping up and maybe doing more of them. We did see that after 2008, especially like we saw more writing coming, more original screenplays come out, in indie world, and it was just a great time for it. And we saw more actors doing the indie, sort of doing the indie dance, as I like to call it, like stepping in, a lot of times that's going to be more for, award season. That's what they want, but they do step in, but it does help, and it does help the indie economy. So if anything good comes out of this, I hope it's that, but I also hope that we do get this done fast, because striking is hard, and striking takes money away from the technical side. The below the line really is what hurts the most. These are PAs out of work. These are every aspect of the job, and below the line are all the jobs that aren't director, writer, producer. They're up there, and they have very important jobs, but so does everybody below the line who's taking care of everything, the craft services, the whole 9 yards. When they're not working, they're not working. There's no union backing them or protecting them. And I think that's what we need to keep in mind in a lot of these things. And I hope that they are making their money, because we're starving them out as well. It's a good fight. It's an important fight. It's a fight that should keep getting fought until we can get to an amicable end to it. But we do need to start changing up who we attack and why we attack. And we need to start changing the dialogue. We need to start not just pushing towards the actors need this, the writers need this. We need to be talking about everybody who's affected by this, because everyone is affected by this all the way down the line in the film industry. And, even you at home watching stuff, you're not going to be watching stuff for much longer as we go on. So we need to keep this. We need to keep this up. We need to, keep it in the limelight, but start talking about the right things. Let's stop attacking the Drew Barrymores. Let's stop attacking the Stephen Amell's, even the Bill Maher's to a point, even though, like I said, I just don't think he cared. But that's me personally. But we really need to step up, and we need to start seeing what this is all about, because it is going to affect a lot of things going forward, and it's going to make a lot of changes to a lot of things. And you're not really going to see it until after the fact. We were completely blindsided in 2008 as viewers. I worked in the industry. I can get a job at all in most cases. I did a lot of indie work, and I was very proud of that and very happy about it. But just having moved to LA, in 2008, as you're coming in with everything else happening, the economy blowing up and the whole 9 yards, it was tough. I can't even imagine what it's like for everybody right now out there and all over the place. So the Drew Barrymores, it was tone deaf. It was wrong, but I think it came out of a place of love. A lot of people ask what I think about it. I harbor no ill will towards her in this situation. I'm glad she did ultimately make the best decision, because the problem is, it's a studio show. You come back, even if you think you're in compliance with everything, and I'm sure you were, you're still a studio show, and you're the face of that studio show with your name strewn across everything. And you're basically the one telling the writers and the actors who you work with constantly, I don't care about your cause, even if that's not what you mean, but that's what the studio wants everybody to see. So that's where I'm at with the Drew Barrymore thing. I'm glad she's done. Let's stop giving her crap for it. Let's turn their sights towards the real beasts who are out there fighting with each other over screwing everybody over more. That's what it's really about. But thank you guys so much for joining in, whether you're watching this as a clip or you're watching this or listening to it on the Scene Snobs podcast. This has been another Let Me Explain. But we're going to get into our final segment tonight, Mick's Movie Picks. That's right. The last week's winner was from 1938. You chose it. I want to I appreciate you guys for voting. Thank you so much for voting. I really appreciate you. If you do want to vote on the next one, we give out 4 dates every week. You can go over to our Discord or Facebook group, and it is on our Instagram too. And you can vote for the year in the comments that you would like. And last week's winner, of course, is 1938. My mixed movie pick was Robin Hood, The Adventures of Robin Hood, starring Errol Flynn. It is a great movie. If you haven't checked it out, you absolutely should. But I did go with a different movie. 1965 won this year, and I know this week, and I'm very excited about that, because 1965 is a great year for film. There's a lot of great movies that came out. So when I was deciding on what I wanted to go with, I really wanted to go with something a little bit different, something that you don't hear about, I think is underappreciated, because another movie that came out only a couple of years before, which was The Hustler. But this one was sort of in the same vein of The Hustler in terms of story. And when you get down to it, it's very similar in tone and everything else. And it stars Steve McQueen. And this week's from 1965 winner and recommendation is Cincinnati Kid. If you haven't checked this out, it's about a card player who gets in and he's looking to beat the best of the best in the game. And he is recruited by another underhanded person played by Edward G. Robinson, stepping in and wants to take him down, take him out, and he doesn't want to do it. He wants to play it straight. It's a really interesting tale. Steve McQueen plays it really great all the way throughout. There's some good thrilling nature to it. But the story overall is a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked that out, you absolutely should, because it is great. So Cincinnati Kid is my recommendation. Next week's years I chose are 1943, 1972, 1998, and 2009. That's right. And you will see that up when you probably head over to our Discord tomorrow or our Facebook group tomorrow. Everything's linked down below, and you can join up there and you can vote for the year. If voting closes next Tuesday before the show, when I'll pick another winner. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Now, if you're watching this, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate Jordan Miller being my guest co-host this week. I want to appreciate everyone: Nancy Ann, Christopher, Zach, Emily. Thank you guys so much for coming on, joining us tonight, talking about The Only Ones. Really appreciate you. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, there's going to be an extra bit right after this. 5 questions with Jason Taylor from the Three Geeks podcast. He was my guest co-host a few episodes ago. You can go back and check that out. Everything's linked below. But this is my 5 questions with him, and we had a really good time doing it. So check those out, and that will be the end of the show. I want to say thank you to my sponsor tonight's show, Entertainment Earth. If you saw it at the beginning of the show, make sure you head down for the link below and order through us and get that discount. Thank you guys again for being a part of this. Like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that bell, because you're going to want to know when great shows like this and more come out, and live events that we have going on all the time. I want to remind you guys that Snobtober is coming up. And right now we're doing a few different things. Snobtober is our month. It's our anniversary month. So we will have our 4-year anniversary show, and we will have our 300th show live on Halloween night. And it just happened to work out that way, so I'm super happy about it. But live Halloween night will be the Scene Snobs Halloween special with lots of guests, costume party, so much more. It's going to be a great time. Make sure to join in for that. But yeah, and if you guys want to, right now we have available at snobsmerch.com. If you get any design from snobsmerch.com, make sure you jump on and you use the hashtag Snobtober and hashtags the Scene Snobs, and take a picture of yourself in it or holding the cup or whatever else. And please join in, because we'd love to have it. And then the winner, well, anybody who does that goes into a raffle, and on Halloween night, we will choose a winner to win a prize. We will announce the prize in October, so keep watching so you know what that is. But these are our Halloween designs. We have our Horror Snob shirt, our Hurt People Freddy Krueger shirt, I Hate Corey Cunningham, our Lenny's movie Emporium. That is all proceeds of that go to charity, the I Love Horror shirt. And now we have John Carpenter rules and Quentin Tarantino rules done in the style of the Monster Squad t-shirt. I want to say thank you guys for go check that out. Make sure you use the hashtag so you can be entered to win. And also, less than a month to go, October 13th. That's right, Friday 13th. Casters for a Cause is coming back. We're doing an event for All for Lunch, which is to help us eliminate school lunch debt all across the country. But the Scene Snobs, in association with Horror with Sir Sturdy podcast, we're going to be doing a charity script reading of Friday the 13th. We'd love for you guys to jump in and hang out with us for that. We're going to play games. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have lots of people showing up. So make sure you join in for that. Thank you guys again. Again, if you're watching this, I truly appreciate you. You guys are amazing. And just really from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being a part of it and being part of the Scene Snobs. If you guys are listening, enjoy my 5 questions with Jason Taylor. And I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. All right, everybody, this is 5 questions on the Scene Snobs podcast. This is where I sit down with my guest co-host each week, and I'm going to ask them 5 questions, movie-based, of course, and get to know them a little bit better. So let's get into it. My co-host this week is Jason Taylor from the Three Geeks podcast. Thank you so much for joining, man.
Of course, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, dude. I am. I can't wait to hear your answers for these. And I have to admit, because I thought about this the week before you were on, so like, in preparation for everything, some of these questions, like specifically, I was like, I want everybody to answer, but I was like, I want to see what Jason says.
Okay,
so,
I'm down. This is gonna be fun.
You are the first person to do this. You're not the first guest co-host, but you are the first person to answer these questions. So really, they were garnered towards you in the beginning. So you should be like, that's pretty cool if these like take off or do well. But like, you are the guy.
I love being the guinea pig.
All right, man. Well, before we get started, well, actually, no, let's just jump right in. Why not? All right. So first question. Do you remember your first movie theater experience? What was the movie? What was it like? And if not, can you share another experience in movie theater?
That is a very good question. I think, yeah, the first movie experience I remember is I wanted to see Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice was before Batman 89. Yeah, that's right. So I wanted to see Beetlejuice. And my uncle was like, yeah, we'll go see Beetlejuice. He ended up taking me to see Good Morning Vietnam. I was, I don't know, 5 when the movie came out, maybe 82. So it would have been right around 5 years old. And I thought we were going to see Beetlejuice, but apparently Beetlejuice wasn't out yet. And he took me to see it. I just remember being shocked at how much the F word was used in the span of 2 hours. Like, I had never heard it that much. And I haven't seen the movie in a while, so maybe it's not as much as I remember. But as a kid, I just remember hearing that word like obsessively in that movie. And that's like really the only remembering I have of that. It's being tricked out of seeing Beetlejuice and then going in and hearing all these new words that I had never heard before.
Oh man, well, does the movie still resonate with you?
Yeah, I still enjoy the movie. I haven't seen it in a little while, but yeah, no, it's a great movie. It's Robin Williams.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's true. All right, my next question is, what is a movie that reminds you of your childhood?
I'd say The Wizard of Oz. I've seen that movie more times than I can count. I remember going, my dad used to work at Napa Auto Parts. I remember going to work with him and getting a tin cap and, car parts to make myself look like the Tin Man. I could do the movie as a one-man show, and I used to do it as a one-man show when I was like 6 or 7 in the basement of my parents' house. Yeah, The Wizard of Oz. I loved that movie. It's like probably the first movie that really got me into when I was 3. And this is going to be me bragging a little bit. I programmed the VCR to record The Wizard of Oz at 3 years old because movies were a huge part of my life even back then, to the point where I found a way to teach myself how to do this at such a young age. But yeah, I remember doing one-man shows to The Wizard of Oz for at least the first 8 years of my life.
That's fantastic, dude. That's a really cool story. I'm glad you shared that with me. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Wizard of Oz in a while. I think I overdid it a lot when I was younger, but I do need to sit down and watch it again. But I still consider that my favorite movie of all time.
You know what? I gotta. I don't know that I call it my favorite, but it's definitely one that I don't think I've ever grown. I don't think I will ever grow tired of.
Mm-mm.
It's still 1939, and it still holds up in my opinion.
Yeah, and the hip hop fan of me really loved The Wiz too when I was super young.
Well, did you ever see this? Like the unofficial Walter Hill sequel?
Return of Oz?
The Return of Oz. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie too. The wheelies scared the hell out of me. They still scare the hell out of me. I have to jump behind the couch if I'm going to watch it.
Oh man,
the lady with the heads. Oh, forget about it.
They really were, dude. They were really scary. We got to figure out one day who's scarier, that lady or the lady from Superman 3, which turns into like the robot lady. She frightened the hell out of me as a kid. All right. Well, question 3. Who is a character in a movie that you really look up to or looked up to at some point, that, maybe helped, shape you in a way?
That is a very good question. That is one of the best questions that I've ever been asked. Person shaped me in a movie. I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, it's not a character in a specific movie, but Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Like, that was a huge part of my life. Like, I used to think it meant quality. Like, oh, Van Damme has 4 movies coming out this year. Woo-hoo! Like, as an adult now, I see why he had 4 movies come out every year. But, they still resonate with me. But every time my dad and I seemed to go to the movies over the summer, we always saw a new Van Damme movie. So I associate going to see Jean-Claude Van Damme movies with my dad. So in a lot of ways, those were the movies I looked up to and looked forward to seeing every time a new one came out. Quality did not matter with Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Still doesn't. I still love all of his movies. But yeah, I'd have to say Jean-Claude Van Damme movies just because they were such a big part of my life, like The Wizard of Oz was.
Well, so Jean-Claude Van Damme, is there like 1 or 2 movies of his that you really resonate with that you watch more than anything else?
Nowhere to Run and Lionheart.
Wow, those are cool picks, because they're not like the fancy choices that you get when it comes to Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like those are the legit. Like maybe Lionheart a bit. I think Lionheart has gained more cult appreciation. Mm-hmm. Over the years, because I remember just being straight to video, and like if you were fans of Jean-Claude Van Damme, you liked that movie. Mm-hmm. But
I saw Bloodsport later. I remember renting Lionheart with my dad from Farmore. It used to be a place. It was kind of like CVS here that would rent movies. Nice. They were the only place that rented Game Boy games too. So fond memories of going there. But yeah, Lionheart was one I specifically remember renting there, taking it home and watching. Again, another movie that had a lot of F words in it when I was young. That Maybe I saw a little too young, but whatever. It's a good movie.
Help shape us.
Yeah. And Nowhere to Run had Fuller in it from Home Alone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Wow, that came later then, didn't it? Was that early 90s or was that late 90s?
It was, I think, 93, 94.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Question 4. Can you share a time or memory when a movie made you have a strong emotional reaction?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Man. Yes. I'm trying. Logan. I had a strong emotional reaction watching Logan. At the very end of Logan, when he's dying, because I saw it with my daughter, who was young at the time. I think she was probably too young to see Logan again, but that just runs in my family. She was sitting next to me. He's dying, and she's by him when he's dying, and it's just all of it happening at once with my daughter right there. It really, really resonated with me.
That's awesome, man. That's a great answer. That's a great answer because Logan is that type of movie. And, I know I tend to, for me in my life, having sons, like movies where sons are prevalent, tend to resonate with me, especially sons that are like opinionated, they tend to really, resonate. But I've never heard Logan. I've heard a lot of movies with guys who have daughters, and it connects with that correlation of having a daughter. But I've never heard Logan, and I really like that answer.
Yeah, Logan, and then second recently would be Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg, because I have stepkids, and outside of stepkids, I have other kids that look to me as a father figure. So that movie really hit home too.
I love that, dude. I love it. All right, our last question. You ready for it?
Yep.
What is another thing about you that you'd like the audience to know outside of movies?
I am hip hop's biggest fan. I love the genre. I love the genre since I was 3 years old. Like, I don't know where it came from because none of my parents, nobody in my family listened to hip hop. So I have no idea how it started, but I just remember being obsessed with it.
You grew up at the right time.
Yeah, I was obsessed. It didn't matter how good the rapping was. I had a lot of Christian rap CDs that my mom would buy me because she was trying to, get that more into my life than some of the other hip hop that I would listen to. But I just was obsessed. Whatever I could get that had a beat and somebody rhyming over it, good or bad, I was into.
Well, we're going to get into it on the show, where we talk about hip hop and movies, but I'm going to save the favorite for here. Okay. So what's a favorite hip hop song that was used in a movie really well? It doesn't have to be your favorite hip hop song, but like a favorite scene maybe where a hip hop song was used that really just like you were like, this was perfect.
This is perfect. 21 Jump Street, Jonah Hill going to high school with the real Slim Shady playing in the background. He's got the blonde hair. It really encapsulated the early 2000s high school. Like in an image, it encapsulated the early 90s scene. And I had bleached blonde hair back then too. So there's that extra added bonus on top of it. But I love that scene, and I love the use of the song because, again, that song encapsulates that time that they were trying to show within the film. So that's my pick.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming out and doing the 5 questions with me. Guys, this is Jason Taylor from the 3 Geeks podcast. Go check them out. They're fantastic. Everything is linked below so you can check it out. Now, I know you probably listened to this on a podcast down the line, and this isn't Jason's episode. So you should go back and listen to Jason's episode because we had a really great conversation. It was a lot of fun. This is 5 questions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick with it. Go check them out. Thank you, Jason, for joining in. I really appreciate you. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.